Hello and welcome to 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 Serie A Matchday 37 and Coppa Italia Final. We have today on Wednesday Lazio Inter with only one big favorite, Inter Milan. Leo, especially after what we saw last weekend, they didn't have any trouble to pass by Lazio. You expect a similar outcome, or is going to be much more contended?
Well, Edu, to be honest, the difference on Sunday was huge. And provided they both played with the best 11, it wasn't the case of Lazio rotating. No, Sarri used the best team he could have used, and the difference was very, very big. I mean, after half an hour, it was 2-0. I mean, Inter dominated all game. I don't know if you're gonna see now again the same gap in performance. Probably mentality will change in Lazio a little bit, but the outcome of Inter coming on top, I do see that repeating again on Wednesday night at the Olimpico. I do that for sure.
Well, no spoilers, Leo. I want to know your tips in a bit.
Yeah.
And also talking about the Serie A, we have a big fight for the Champions League spots because only 2 games to go. And we have now Napoli in the fight. Napoli, Juventus, Milan, Roma, and Como. All these teams could qualify or could be out of the Champions League next season. So let's analyze everything. Penultimate video for Serie A this season. Let me know, as always, in the comments your thoughts. And now let's go on with the show. Well, Leo, it's always a good idea traveling to Rome, especially in this time of the year with the Internazionale di Tennis and the Coppa Italia Final. Lazio Inter, I'm sure, is going to be very busy this time of the year, the capital of Italy. We have Lazio Inter this season. Lazio trying to surprise a 7 Coppa Italia for Lazio. Last one was in 2019. Is there chance also to qualify for Europe after, I would say, a bad season? It's true that the squad didn't have a lot of quality. They even sold Tati Castellanos in winter, so it's been a very tough season for Sarri, but Leo, you told me you only expect Inter to win, especially after what happened on Sunday. Seeing Lautaro back in form, you as an Argentinian, I imagine you are happy to see him scoring. So what do you expect in this Coppa Italia final?
Yes, it was good to see him back in the starting lineup. Edu scoring, assisting as well, 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 for the third goal. I mean, Inter is super relaxed going into this final, at least when you judge Christian Chiu's words, saying that he wants his players to have fun, that it doesn't matter for him winning or losing, won't change anything the way he judges the season after winning the 𝗀𝗀𝗏𝗀. But it could be, come on, the first domestic double since the Mourinho's era for Inter, since that treble year in 2010. Chibu was part of that team as a player, so to take the double in his first full managerial season will be amazing and will be Inter's 10th Coppa Italia in the rich history. If we include that comeback win against Como in the semifinals of this Coppa Italia, Edu, Inter have scored at least twice in all their last 7 fixtures. The last defeat, we need to go back almost 2 months ago, and it was in the Derby della Madonnina against Milan, when we thought that Milan could fight for the 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀. It seems that it happened like, I don't know, 10 years ago, not 2 months ago. The head-to-head does not help Lazio at all, and not just because of last weekend. The last 3 games in the capital, Edu, have an aggregate score of 11-0 for Inter. The last time Lazio won against Inter, home or away, that was in 2022. This said, the run in the Coppa Italia for Lazio is the best that happened for them in a very mediocre season, Edu. They took Milan out, they took Bologna out, they took Atalanta in the semifinals, so it's been a very good run in this cup for them. As I said in the introduction, they need, and Sarri mentioned it, a change of mentality if they want to have any hopes of winning this game. It's one game, 90 minutes, so the hopes are gonna be there for Lazio. But for me, there is only one way to go, and that's Inter. My take here: Inter to win combined with goals over 1.5, odds of 2.1.
𝐿𝐿𝐴 says this is a safe bet going for Inter to win. We can check a smart bet, I think, also for this game. And the top tip for our AI, remember, a smart bet, Oddspedia powered AI is going for under 3.5 goals. It doesn't pay that much, 1.37, since, of course, this is a final, and usually we don't see many goals. Under 2.5 goals is way better, 2.02, both teams to score. No, so could be easily Inter to win 2-0, for instance, and all these options good pay off. Last season, remember, we saw a surprise. We saw Bologna beating Milan 1-0 in the final. So Lazio trying to do the same, playing kind of at home, but Inter really favorites. Well, this is it for Coppa Italia. Now we can switch to Serie A, because we have, there you go, the graphics, because now we have the penultimate match day in Serie A, and some things to be decided. Let's start with the first game, is Atalanta Bologna. Here, nothing on stake. Two teams that I think at the beginning of the season they expected to get much more, to be closer or to be in European spots, because they are used to play in even Champions League. Atalanta, at least they won in San Siro. They beat Milan 2-3. It was 0-3 that game, and at the end they suffered a bit to get the 3 points. And Bologna also, they got a great win in Napoli with Rowe scoring in extra time. Leo, what do you expect? Perhaps goals in this game?
Yes, absolutely. That one for sure. Goals in here. And they both played, I think, their best games in a long time. For both, probably Matchday 36 meant that they had their second best win of the season, at least, because for Atalanta, the top win this season is the 4-1 against Dortmund in the Champions League, and then the 3-2 against Milan in San Siro last weekend. Oh, wait, maybe the 3-0 against Juventus in Coppa Italia, I think it was better. But anyway, the 3-2 makes the podium for sure. And for Bologna, the 3-2 against Napoli, the Diego Armando Maradona, comes second after that win 4-3 against Roma in the capital, in the Europa League. It's not a surprise that those great wins happen away from home for Bologna. We have seen it all season, how bad they have been playing at home. Bologna is the 5th best team in Serie A on the road. 31 points of their 52 have been collected in that condition. They won 6 of their last 9 matches in that condition as well. But before facing Napoli, they were 4 games without scoring, which made the 3-2 even more impressive. It was the night of Jonathan Rowe, whose stock continued to rise this semester. A great volley for the winning goal on added time, and he was always a threat on those 20 minutes he was on the pitch. It's a shame his level in the first semester wasn't good, because while he was adapting to Serie A, because I think he missed the chance to get a call from Tuchel for one of the international windows. Now it's late, but one for the future for sure for the Three Lions. It was the first half almost perfect for Bologna, being 2-0 up. They controlled Napoli, but the second half, of course, with Napoli reducing the difference just right before halftime, it was going to be tough for them. But still, they managed to find a way to win the game. And for Atalanta, Edu, for 55 minutes, they were the only team in San Siro. It was just up to Raspadori's goal. It was just one team in the pitch. We did not have this time 𝐋𝐿𝐴 playing up front, leading the attack. 𝐶𝐿𝐴 did not even see a single minute of play. But still, it was a good game for Paladino's Atalanta, with Emerson in midfield, with 𝐶𝐿𝐴, even though he did not score, but he provided the assist for Zappacosta, and he moves really, really well. I think next season he could be even a more goal-scoring threat that in his first one with Atalanta. Atalanta still Edu could have a chance of Europe if they make it 7 in Serie A, and Lazio does not win the Coppa Italia. That could mean a place for them in the Conference League. I do expect goals, Edu, for them. With Bologna records away as well, guys. Have that in mind. So for those following the trend of Bologna, Bologna's wins away from home, the odds are, of course, fantastic, 5.2. But my take is going to follow the goals market, Edu. Both teams to score yes, combined with goals over 2.5, odds of 2.8.
Okay, 𝐿𝐭𝐴 going here for Atalanta to win, but I also expect goals. Next game, Cagliari, Torino, Cagliari +6 with relegation, so basically saved. They lost to Udinese, but I guess they should get at least a point against Torino. They are favorites at home. Torino beat Sassuolo, lost to Udinese in the last 2 games.
Yes, Edu, and Cagliari mathematically they still could be in trouble, because if Cremonese wins their 2 games and Cagliari loses their 2 final games, it will be a playoff between Cremonese and relegation playoff between Cremonese and Cagliari. So yes, of course, a point. That's what they need. What they need the Sardinians to be completely safe. Not a game that many people will be watching. This Cagliari Torino, Edu. Torino gave us another show of their unpredictability, winning the game against Sassuolo to get back to winning ways after 3 matches. They won it from behind, scoring twice in a space of 4 minutes in the second half. 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 scoring again, 11 goals this season for him. Probably the podium of best Torino players this season: 𝗵𝗲𝗄, top, Simeone, and Che Adams, I would say. Is 1 win in the last 9 away from home for Torino, but Cagliari in Sardinia, you would think it's not going to give them a lot of trouble. But we don't know again the mentality of which Torino will approach this game. For Cagliari, the preparation for this game is being difficult, because we have the accusations of Kenan Davis from Udinese saying that Álvaro Dossena racially abused him last weekend. Serie A started an investigation, but Dossena is able to play on Sunday. He has the back of Fabio Pasacane, Cagliari's manager, saying that he knows him very well and knows that something like that will never cross Dossena's mind. So Cagliari needs a point. Torino, Edu, can't get bothered at this stage. Their unpredictability is always there. Goals market here, I would say, should be the under. Under 2.5 is at 1.67. But my take for this Cagliari Torino, Edu, I'm going for the draw at 3.2.
Let's look for more interesting games. Next one is Como Parma. This one important for the European spots. Como still pushing to get perhaps Champions League, maybe Europa League, maybe even Conference. They beat Verona 1-0 after the draw with Napoli. No goals conceded in the last 3 games. For Como, Parma lost to Roma in a crazy game that they had it won until extra time. So actually the family of the second goal scorer of Parma celebrating as crazy, no? The second goal. Leo, you expect Cesc Fabregas to continue, by the way, in Como? I don't think so, right?
It seems difficult, Edu, but when you were thinking of what could be the next step for him, because I don't see him in a different team in Serie A, so it's not like next season we're gonna see Fabregas in Milan, for instance, and then you start thinking of myself, at least in Premier League, and you see Chelsea moving for Xabi Alonso, Liverpool keeping Arne Slot. So I don't know, I had the feeling that maybe he could still be in Como next season. I wouldn't put my money there, to be honest, but I had it more clear of Fabregas leaving probably weeks ago than I had it now. What we know is that this one has been an historic season. Como will play in Europe, that is guaranteed. They're gonna play in Europe for the first time. We don't know yet which competition. Of course, the maximum they aim is for Champions League, but we'll see. It's looking a little bit more difficult, of course, but this is amazing. We are talking about of a team that not so long ago they were in Serie C, and they managed to do it, Edu, having the team that being the team that conceded the least in this season. Only Inter have scored as well more than them, and they have been offering entertaining football. Of course, they're one of the richest clubs in the country. They spend more than 100 million euros in the summer, but they have assembled one of the youngest side in Europe. The best player, 𝐻𝐿𝐴, cost them 6.5 million. Yes, of course, he's gonna go back to Real Madrid, but he already more than paid what they invest in him, and he will play the World Cup with Argentina. 𝐋𝐞𝐭'𝐬, the captain, transformed from winger to one of the best midfielders in Serie A. Maxi Perrone did not have a place in Manchester City, and 𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐲 had great plans for him and likely to play as well in the World Cup. Assane Diao, Jesus Rodriguez, poached from Betis. Jacobo Ramon, one of the best center backs in Italy, Edu, this season, and 𝐿𝐴 paid only 2.5 million for him. 𝗵𝗵𝐿𝐴, Turina have been great in attack. With Verona, they weren't entertaining. That I have to say that, and probably a draw would have been the most fair results. But they showed personality. As I said, Champions League football looks a little bit more difficult because they will need both Milan and Roma to drop points, but still, historic season. With Parma, we cannot talk of a historic season, but very good indeed anyway, under Carlos Cuesta, a very well-drilled team, hard to beat. It was strange seeing them conceding 3 goals and 2 of them on added time, but they competed, as always they've done this season. It's 2 defeats in the last 5 for them, away from home, 1 win in the last 5 for Parma. I can't think of another game this season when the odds on 𝐿𝐴 to win were this low, as we can see for this 𝐿𝐴 Parma. But yes, it's all about 𝐿𝐴 at this stage. Edu, they need the 3 points, other way they cannot keep dreaming with the Champions League. My take here, 𝐿𝐴 to win combined with goals over 2.5, odds of 2.1.
𝐿𝐴 to score 1, 2, or 3-0 for 𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐵. Gabon, you're going for the same. Actually, 𝐿𝐴 to win and both teams to score, no. So 𝐿𝐴 to win 2-0. Next game is a very tricky one. Genoa, Milan. Genoa drew the last 2 games, and who knows if the Rossi can give Roma the Champions League spot, because Milan are falling in the table. They look awful at the moment. Lost to Atalanta. We saw 𝐿𝐴 missing so many chances. Finally, they scored some goals, but it was too late, Leo. Actually, they had a header to draw that game against Atalanta. Back-to-back defeats, so many issues. Right now, level on points with Roma. So Milan are in real trouble. This game is not easy in Marassi, and they finish the season at home against Cagliari.
Edu, in the last 2 match days with Sassuolo and Atalanta, did we back Milan to win? No. And to be honest, nothing tells me we should change that going into this match day 37. It was impressive to see thousands of supporters leaving after Raspadori scored the 3-0 at the hour mark. Before kickoff, supporters already protesting against the director. Some even asked some against Ibrahimovic too. They were asking for the return of Paolo Maldini. It seemed that as well happened, and I mentioned with Inter, happened ages ago when Milan won that derby against the Scudetto champions and reduced the gap from 10 points to 7 points on that time. But in the next 8 games, the gap increased to 18 points. We see today Milan losing 5 of those games. So the last 2 consecutively and conceding 5 goals. It's like there is a theme with them all season that they always start slow, Edu, and that happened again against Atalanta, conceding a goal after 8 minutes, and by the 35th minute they were already 2-0 down. Only when they were 3-0 down and with a half-empty stadium, Milan started to press high, and remember there is a Champions League spot at stake. The 2 goals you mentioned, Edu, they came at the end of the game, 88th minute and then in the 94th minute, they are level with Roma in fourth, but they are fourth actually. They are level in points, but Milan is fourth because it's the head-to-head record what we need to take into account to define a spot in the Champions League if two teams have the same points. And remember, Milan won against Roma in the Olimpico the night. In San Siro the night when Maignan stopped a penalty from Dybala, and then they drew at the Olimpico. Max Allegri started with Leao and Jimenez up front. Once again, a huge fiasco. Leao won't be part of this team next season. The club has already decided. I will be surprised if anyone is willing to pay more than 30 million for him, to be honest. And they will travel now to face this Genoa with the manager Edu determined to help Roma get into the top four. The Grifone took the point they wanted in Firenze, but for sure they would like to say goodbye to their home campaign with something to celebrate. In a season they started with Vieira, and they were dangerously roaming the drop zone until DDR arrived in November. They are finally drawing games. I'm saying this because I mentioned that before these last two consecutive 0-0, they won 5 and lost 4 of their previous 9, and it was difficult for them to manage the game. As I said, I did not trust Milan in Sassuolo, did not trust them with Atalanta, and won't trust them now again, Edu, this weekend. Might take here Genoa, double chance, odds of 2.
Impossible to trust Milan. 1x also for 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐵𝐴. I'm going for both teams to score in this game. It would be a disaster for Milan missing the Champions League another season financially after being even in the Scudetto race for a while, and I think it was clear that they would qualify for the Champions League, but we saw, for instance, some fans like our friend David concerned about Milan, about Allegri's tactics, and now look, we are in May and they might drop from the Champions League spots. Let's go to the next game. Nothing on stake here. Inter celebrating the Scudetto. Who knows if celebrating Coppa Italia. Verona going to Serie B, lost to Como. Well, Leo, we don't have many things to say about this game.
No. And probably we're going to see an Inter side celebrating the double before and after the game in San Siro on Sunday. They show that they are not done yet with that 3-0 against Lazio. We mentioned already when we talk about the Coppa Italia, Lautaro Martinez being back in the starting lineup and scoring. Susic, just one thing to say: if he scores a beauty. He scored an amazing goal against Arsenal Champions League, and now again with Lazio at the Olimpico. We're gonna see probably a rotation on Sunday, that's for sure. Already last match day, Di Marco did not play a single minute. Dumfries came on the second half. They're gonna play both from the start in the Coppa Italia Final, but then on Sunday with Verona, we're gonna see again changes for sure. My take here is, of course, all about Inter. Inter Asian handicap -2, odds of 1.98.
Let's go to the next game, much more interesting. Juve, Fiorentina. Fiorentina, nothing to play for, but they really hate Juventus. They are biggest rivals, so I'm sure they want to take a point from Torino. No wins, by the way, for Fiorentina since the conference KO. Is 3 draws in the last 4 games, but here it's all about Juventus. It was a crucial win against Lecce after dropping points with Verona and Milan. And their last game is the derby in Turin, derby de La Mole. Leo, Juventus, you think they are going to play Champions League football next season?
I think, Edu. But at the same time, they are like playing dangerously the way they manage some games. With Lecce was one of those. They did the job, which is the most important, and they did it incredibly early because they scored after 12 seconds with Dusan Vlahovic, whose return is expired in this Champions League revival for them. They are now third in the table. They surpass Milan. Vlahovic 5 goals in 17 games this season. And destiny is in their hands, Edu. But if Milan, I was saying, has this tendency of waking up late in games, the copy and paste mistake of Juventus this season is that they can score early, score first, but then they drop and they do not kill the game. I thought we were going to hit for a rout after going 1-0 up in less than 1 minute, but nothing like that happened. Yes, they did create chances to score, but the energy wasn't there, and the final 15 minutes, it's always nervy because you think that a corner, a set piece could have cost them dearly, like with Verona on Matchday 35, because these Juventus can have passages of play which they look in total control, and then they disappear, or they can look careless. Spalletti was visibly fuming on the touchline, shouting angrily at his players for not moving the ball fast. And then with 𝗵𝗶𝗍𝗀, who is still to renew his contract, Spalletti was clearly saying that he doesn't have another player with his characteristics, to be honest. Physical, strong center forward who can hold defenders and the ball. And even for me, 𝗵𝗶𝗍𝗀 never reached the level I thought he was going to reach in Juventus. He still is the best center forward they have in the squad. And Fiorentina, Edu is on holiday, so that is what is also playing in Juventus' favor. As much as they hate Juventus, we're gonna see if they turn up or not on Sunday. They were whistled by their supporters in the 0-0 with Genoa. The best chance of the game was for Genoa, and it was only because of David De Gea that they did not lose the game. Yes, no one avoided the relegation after being winless the first 15 matches of the season, but this is a record that Fiorentina would like to forget quite quickly, or to remove from their history. Does Juventus really assure me of an afternoon without problem? Well, not really, but can I trust Fiorentina with anything here? Well, probably not also, Edu. That's why my take here in this Juventus Fiorentina, with Juventus pushing for the Champions League spot, Juventus to win, combined with Juventus first team to score, 1.8.
All right, let's see if Fiorentina can screw the rivals Juventus to score to 1-3-1 or 4-1. Both teams to score, possible also for 𝐿𝐭𝐴. Next game is Pisa, Napoli. Also, Napoli, they don't have for granted their Champions League spots after losing to Bologna, but they are playing in Pisa. Should be an easy one. Pisa relegated, and they are playing at home against Udinese in the final game. So it should be enough. Leo, Pisa 7 consecutive defeats. They are awful. And Napoli ending badly the season. Probably they are a bit relaxed. Only one win in the last 5 games.
Yes, Edu. So Pisa couldn't have come in a better time for them. It's 3 points separating Napoli from Roma in 5th, with 6 points to play, and now it's Pisa. So undoubtedly, mathematically, something could happen against them, but the fixtures are in their favor, Edu. Even though Udinese at the Diego Armando Maradona last season took a point, but again, playing Pisa this weekend is doing them a huge favor. I mean, and winning this game against Pisa will guarantee them for sure that Champions League spot. Almost, Edu, they could have guaranteed themselves if they had done it better against Bologna, but for the first half an hour they weren't there at the Diego Armando Maradona. They only managed to get back to closer to their best in the second half, but then on another time we mentioned that amazing goal from Jonathan Rowe, and they lost the game. Napoli conceding first at home was something that has been happening, a recurring theme. It happened in 5 of the last 10 home matches: Verona, Roma, Lecce, Lazio, Bologna, and they won just 1 of those 5 matches with 2 defeats and 2 draws. So once they concede at home, they're always chasing the games, and it's difficult for them to get points. But that won't change much going away against Pisa, Edu. You mentioned another defeat for them. It was their 11th defeat in the last 12 matches. So, and plus 2 red cards as well against Cremonese. They played with 9 for the last half an hour. It could have been even a bigger disaster for Pisa. My take here is clear. Napoli, half-time, full-time market, odds of 2.1.
For Pisa, very difficult season. Where is Kevin De Bruyne? 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐬 is asking you. Leo?
Well, Kevin De Bruyne was starting games for Napoli before they faced Bologna, but Conte was explaining that he's not still 100%. So we will see if he gets minutes. It wasn't the case of he getting injured again or anything like that. Just not being fit as Conte would expect his players. And because we are coming to the end of the season, I think they are trying to manage his minutes, but probably with Pisa we could see back Kevin De Bruyne.
I forgot, is he going to the World Cup or he withdrew with international?
No, I think he's going, Edu. No.
Right.
Or at least, I can't remember of him withdrawing from international level. No.
Okay.
Sure.
And let's go to the next game. We have the Derby della Capitale, Roma Lazio. What a week for Lazio. On Wednesday they have the Coppa Italia Final, and let's see if they have still the effort to play against the rivals, the city rivals. Remember, they lost the reverse fixture, by the way, against Roma, and there is nothing on stake for Lazio apart from preventing Roma to qualify for the Champions League. It's all about Roma. Leo, finally 3 consecutive wins. We haven't seen this throughout the season. Actually, it's 4 wins and 1 draw in the last 5 games, or they are accelerating towards the Champions League spot, something that would be a success for Gasperini, and the name is Malen. Great signing. We had our doubts in summer about Ferguson, for instance, or 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗀, but this is the past, and the present is Malen. He had immediate impact in the team, and even taking penalties in decisive moments.
Absolutely, and just before I go into Malen, just one thing on this one for everyone, because the Roma Prefectura moved the game from Sunday to Monday night, because you mentioned at the beginning there is the Italian Open with Sinner playing probably the final at home in Rome. The stadium is very close to the 𝗀𝗵𝗵𝗀, so the Prefectura was saying, no, this could become an issue, so we are moving the game on to Monday night. Serie A presented the legal challenge, saying that no, we want the game to be played on Sunday midday, as it was first thought, because if they move it Lazio Roma, they needed to move the games of Juventus, Milan, Como, because they want a fair fight for the Champions League spot. So to be honest, by last night I didn't have it clear if the game is going to be played on Sunday or in the end it's going to be moved by Monday. So just pay attention
in Oddspedia we have 12:30. Actually, the moment
that still remains on Sunday, but again,
all 5 games, all 5 games that we've analyzed for the Champions League fight at 12:30, which is very odd indeed. It's a good point. By the way, it's not that they are very close, Leo. It's like they are next to each other. I think you can hear the Nicola Pietrangeli from the Olimpico and all the way around.
Well, and they were thinking that even though there is a gap, I think it was like 1 or 2 hours between the time the game is supposed to finish, Roma Lazio, and the final of the tennis championship should start. This is Derby della Capitale. There is always trouble. They're thinking, what if something happened? Of course, could be chaos for those fans attending the tennis match. But anyway, just for everyone to have in mind, have a look between Thursday and Friday. But then, yes, Edu, Malen. Wow, what a signing has been for Roma. I mean, I have no doubts that the MVP of the season in Serie A is Ďemarco, but Malen, having played the only half of the season, makes the podium also without a doubt. The impact he has he's done or he has with Roma, it was second to none. The best January signing I was since Fiorentina probably borrowed Mohamed Salah from Chelsea, and that was a decade ago, Edu. The best goal scoring season of his career was the pandemic year, 2020-2021, when he scored 19 goals for PSV, Edu. His second best was with Dortmund, 13 goals in 27 matches, and now with Roma, he reached 13 goals in 16 Serie A games, and he still have like 2 more games to play to even increase that record. Really, really outstanding. He has raised the level of his teammates too. Gasperini for sure was also very happy that those coming from the bench as well did very well against Parma, because Rensch also scored, and he was the one that got fouled for the penalty. A penalty which Gasperini did not want to look at. I don't know if you've seen the images. He was facing the stands. He was super nervous. And you start thinking, if only Roma could have picked this form and fire a couple of weeks earlier, to be honest, Edu, because now they're in 5 wins and 1 draw in the last 7 matches, which leaves, of course, the chance of returning to European top tables for the first time in 8 long seasons, very much alive for them. Probably it's easy to say that yes, they got lucky winning the game on added time, but the reality is that they pushed all game, and Suzuki, Edu, Parma's goalkeeper, were responsible for denying Roma plenty of good chances. Dybala got a first start after coming back from injury. He did well, assisting Malen for that first goal. After the game, he said that the derby will be the last home game he plays for Roma, but yesterday circulated the rumor that he will be signing for another year after agreeing to reduce his salary. We will see, because I was hoping to see him back in Argentina playing for Boca. We know that Dybala is not in Scaloni's list, not in the 26 squad, but not even in the 55 players pre-selected for the tournament. The Giallorossi, of course, needs to win this game. Lazio, we will see which Lazio is going to show up after the final of the Coppa Italia. But for sure they will try to spoil Champions League party for Roma. They won 3 of the last 4 derby della Capitale, Roma. The last 8 derbies, Edu, have all been under 2.5, and 6 of them goals under 2. I believe this one could be more open, because there is no space for conservatism in here. Those going for the goals over market is 1.91, but again, I said the last 8 derbies have all been under 2.5. My take anyway is about Roma, Edu. I'm backing them for this derby della Capitale. Roma to win, and goals over 1.5. These two together, odds of 2.
Okay, looks like an under indeed, like the other Derby della Capitale, and perhaps going for cards is also a good idea. A red card in the game or yellow cards is usually good. Someone is taking goals in both halves. I think this is very, very risky, going for goals in this game. David pointing out that Romagnoli won't be available. Well, let's see at what time this game is played. By the way, once, Leo, I was at the Olimpico and Juventus won the Scudetto, and it was they opened the Italia also next door. So they had both things, but it's different when you have Roma Juve than when you have, of course, Roma Lazio, because the whole city is an absolute mess. Let's go now to the battle to avoid relegation. Sassuolo, Lecce. Here, of course, we have Lecce and Cremonese fighting. The team from Puglia, Lecce, 1 point more. They lost to Juve after that crucial win against Pisa. The last game is at home against Genoa, so they are playing 2 teams, Sassuolo and Genoa, with nothing to play for. Do you think Lecce are getting something out of the Mapei Stadium?
I do. A point will be huge for them, but to be honest, I'm mostly thinking that we could go to a scenario in which Lecce and Cremonese lose their last both games of the season, and things are going to end up like this, Edu. with Lecce 1 point in front of Cremonese. That is something that could happen because it's Lecce playing against Sassuolo away. Cremonese will be away against Udinese, and as you mentioned, Lecce last game of the season they play in Genoa, and Cremonese will be playing 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐻. So I wouldn't be surprised if both Lecce and Cremonese lose their both games of the season. But again, yes, a draw could do great for them in against Sassuolo. They cannot afford anyway Lecce to concede after 1 minute, as it happened with Juventus. The pressure could be too big to handle if that happens. So I'm gonna expect a low block and focus from them. The idea of not giving spaces to Laurenti to run. Bookies, it seems to be pointing to a draw here, Edu. Looking at the odds. For Sassuolo is the chance of saying goodbye to a great season, to celebrate with their supporters. The defeat with Torino does not change at all what has been an amazing season. Probably the motivation wasn't the same as with Milan a week earlier, but their first half was decent. They score first, and for 60 minutes they did not suffer much. However, the last 30 minutes, they completely switch off, and they allowed Torino to get back in the game in a rush of 4 minutes. And after the 2-1, they did not have the energy look for the equalizer. A performance probably like the one we saw from Sassuolo in the defeat with Genoa. But again, I mean, to finish the season with Lecce and Parma is providing Sassuolo the chance to make sure they finish the season in the top half. They are now 11th with 49 points. Udinese is on 50 points, and Lazio with 51 points is on 9th. So the chances are real for the Nero-Verde to be to finish the season in the top half of Serie A. Edu, I'm not gonna take 𝐿𝐵 or 𝐿𝐵𝐻 route here, but I do understand that Lecce is gonna try to keep the game very, very close, very tight, going into the second half. My take here is gonna go for the draw, but the first half draw with odds of 2.1.
Tight game, this one. Also, 𝐿𝐵𝐻 going for the same tip as you. First half draw. David going for 1x and over 1.5 goals. Last game we have in this match day is Udinese Cremonese. Cremonese saved the first match ball. Beating Pisa. It was an easy one. Pisa got players sent off. We saw Vardy back in the score sheet, and it's going to be very difficult for Cremonese, Leo, because, Udinese, they've been on holidays for a while, but they are competing. It's 2 wins and 1 draw in the last games, and the last game of Cremonese is against 𝐿𝐵𝐻, and I'm pretty sure 𝐿𝐵𝐻 will fight for European spots. So, if Cremonese want to get safe, in my opinion, they have to win here.
Yes, but do I see that? Not really. You mentioned Vardy. I mean, it's amazing that in the week that Netflix show us the trailer of the Vardy's series, he scores his first goal since January. Cremonese wins 3-0, and the hopes to avoid relegation are back. Of course, it helps if the opposition is Pisa and they go down to 9 players because of 2 red cards. Vardy actually opened the scoreline 5 minutes after the first red card, and Bosinov and Felipe Loyola was then sent home early 5 minutes after Cremonese scored the second goal. It was their second win in the last 22 games. Marco Giampaolo, the manager, called Jamie Vardy the prototype of the ideal striker, and that he reminds him of Fabio Quagliarella. I believe Vardy is miles better player than Quagliarella was anyway. It was also the first start for Vardy in the last 2 months. It hasn't been an easy 2026 for him, with many injuries, setbacks, and with the team, of course, with the team form not helping him at all. As with Lecce, I would say that the point will be massive for Cremonese. A win will be dreamland, of course, because that would mean that they will be taking the fight until the last match days. And Udinese is in a relatively good form anyway. They won 2 the last 2 games consecutively and 4 of the last 7 games with only 1 defeat. And the 2-0 in Sardinia was marred with all this controversy I explained before about Kenan Davis and Dossena. Despite Bologna's win against Napoli, Udinese could still think of an 8th finish as the Rosso-Blu is just 2 points above them. My take here is going to be a straight one, and I'm backing Udinese here, Edu. I don't see Cremonese doing the miracle. Udinese to win, and the odds are very good. Udinese to win, odds of 2.4.
Yes, massive. You see Cremonese going down, right?
Yes, Edu, yes.
Well, this is it for our penultimate video this season in Italy in Serie A. A very tough season, actually, for Italian football. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Remember, we have our tipster competitions going on, still available at our website. We will have a special one for the World Cup next month. And in the meantime, you can participate in the monthly one. For May, we have an Italian guy actually now in second spot, and also we have, as always, rivals available for you where you can create your own tipster league. Leo Bachanian, your safe bet?
Napoli to win, 1.4, Edu.
And the ACCA?
Napoli to win, Atalanta, Bologna, both teams to score yes, Inter to win 2-0. These 3 together, odds of 4.72.
Thank you, Leo. See you very soon. Bye-bye.